When a child is lonely because they're socially awkward, there are problems at home, or they're just plain isolated, most children use their imaginations to create a friend. I myself developed one from my own reflection. But in this case, the child's imagination might be a little too strong, because sometimes you can create a monster. Imaginary. Another Blumhouse feature that takes the idea that a kid can use their imagination to to do whatever they want and create something evil with it. By accident, of course. The cast was very good. We have a woman with a bit of past trauma who bonded with a single dad, a divorced dad, whose ex is in the nut house, and a teenage daughter who still feels loyalty to her mom, and a young daughter who is still dealing with a bit of trauma of her own, similar to what the older woman experienced. Unfortunately, when the family moves back into the new mom's old house, things take a turn for the sinister, as apparently the younger daughter discovers an old stuffed bear and develops an imaginary friend around said bear. But apparently this friend might be a little less imaginary and a little more demonic, perhaps. And it's up to the new mom to prove that she's worthy of the title and save everybody. The cast all did great. The lady playing the new mom was sure of herself in some areas and on shaky ground in others. She was very relatable. The teenage daughter did a very good job of portraying a smarmy teen who was getting into trouble. Every time she opened her mouth, I was like, hey, kids these days. The little girl, she did wonderfully. She portrayed innocence and the sinister influence that the imaginary friend was having on her. She could go from quite cheerful to quite terrifying. And the fact that the soundtrack used a lot of children's nursery rhyme jingles and the like, twisted in a way that made you feel unsettling, that really helped her character, or with her character. The dad was there. They established what he did and got him out of the way, because it was the girls' show. There were a few extra characters, a doctor, an amateur psychologist, the new mom's dad, who suffered a trauma that ties in with the plot, and the kid's old mom, who made a brief appearance, foreshadowing later events in the film. And everybody did a really good job. Nobody was annoying, except for this one guy who wanted to be the older daughter's boyfriend, but he screwed up and got his comeuppance. You'll have to see how. So yeah, I believed that everyone there was honest in their character. As for Chauncey, the imaginary friend, who may or may not be possessing a stuffed teddy bear. He was very well done. Sometimes his voice was that of the little girl, and props to the little actress for not only portraying her character, but also giving a seriously messed up performance as the voice of Chauncey. I mean, she could be downright terrifying. There were some special effects that were, in fact, done practically, and they looked amazing. There was this one full-size suit that was sort of ungainly looking, unwieldy looking, but it was supposed to be like that because it was basically meant to represent a cancerous form of a familiar, wholesome image, which kind of worked for me, although one scene was a little hard to believe that the one character couldn't catch the other character. Yeah. But other than that, it was pretty good. There were these special makeup effects on some of the characters that harkened back to the movie Coraline. There were actually a couple of movie references. I'll just tell them to you straight. There was a Nightmare on Elm Street reference at the beginning of the film. If you look closely at one of the envelopes that one of the characters is looking at, you can see that the neighborhood is the same one with Freddy Krueger's house. And another movie reference is E.T. When we slowly pan across a group of stuffed animals, you expect to see something in there, but it's kind of a red herring. The use of light, shadow, an old house with memories, both good and bad, are all utilized here. The house itself became a character, and while there was one hiccup at the end, like why did such and such happen so quickly, what was such and such made of, you'll get what I mean if you see it. The music, actually I mentioned the music already, Twisted children's jingles, so good. And there's this one tune that's actually quite catchy, even though it's meant for just little kids to enjoy. So yeah, overall, while Imaginary starts off kind of slow, it sort of builds like a volcanic eruption. You can tell what's coming. Little bits here and there foreshadow the eruption to come. And when the eruption does happen, wow, they go all out. I have 3 words for you. M.C. Escher. And I'll say no more. Because you got to see it to believe it. So yeah, if you're into classic haunted house flicks with a more modern twist, Imaginary is actually really good. Although, if you prefer slasher action, this one might be a little bit boring. But it caters to a kind of specific audience, and I think I'm part of that audience because I enjoyed it really much, really a lot. So yeah, check it out if you want. This is Mr. J signing out and reminding you, don't discard childish things. Hold them for your kids. But if they have a note of the sinister, maybe send them to the Warren's Museum of the Occult. They know how to deal with cursed objects and possessed teddy bears. check under your beds.